Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about writing inverse functions with restrictions. Now what that means is that pretty much an inverse function is where we just switch x and y. So we take my x, take my y, and we switch it. And so it has this special property on a graph and it's very useful. But that's really all we're doing. We're just switching x and y, okay? So here's our steps to find an inverse function. Step 1. Replace f of x with y. Step 2, switch x and y. And then step 3, solve for our new y and relabel. Let's start off with an easy one. Let's take a look at number 1. So number 1, I have g of x equals square root of 3x. Now we're going to replace that g of x with a y. So we're going to go y equals the square root of 3x. Second, to be able to switch it around, we are going to need to switch x and y. So this is going to become my new x, and this is going to become my new y. We switch my x and my y. Then we solve my equation for my new y. Okay, so pretty much we're trying to move everything over to the other side and get my new y by itself. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off and we're going to square both sides. Okay, so I'm going to square this side. We're going to square this side, right? We just do reverse order of operation. We're just moving everything to the other side. So we're going to have, on this side, we're going to have x squared equals 3y. And then I need to get rid of that 3. Now that 3 is being multiplied to the y. So to get rid of that 3, I need to divide by 3. So I'm going to divide this side by 3 and divide this side by 3. So we're going to have an answer of y equals x squared over 3. So I solved for my y. Now, we need to relabel and make sure we're thinking about the same thing. Okay? So we're going to relabel it. We're going to say, okay, we're going to change this y into an f of negative 1 of x. Now that little negative 1, that stands for inverse. And so we're saying the inverse of this function is f of negative 1 of x is x squared over 3. So my original equation was y equals square root of x, or is g of x. So I'm sorry, this shouldn't be an f, this should be a g. My mistake, guys. So this should be a g of negative 1 of x. So we started with g of x equals this. The inverse of that, g of negative 1 of x equals x squared over 3. Now, the thing is, whenever we square root, whenever we square root, we are going to just have like 1/2 of our graph. Remember when we graphed, it's just going to be 1/2 of our square root. Anyways, only 1/2. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, look at k, and then if it's positive, if a is positive, which a is, so our k is 0, a is positive, and so we're going to say, okay, this is our inverse when x is greater than or equal to 0. Long story short, guys, that's just kind of what we tack on to the end of our inverses. Just saying.
Zach Castleberry, please come to the main office. Zach Castleberry, please come to the main office.
Isn't it fun to get interrupted? Sorry, guys. So yeah, that's going to be x is greater than or equal to 0 right there. So that doesn't really matter that much. It's just one of those things that after you solve it, we got to be specific. It'll make more sense on Friday after we go back through that. All right, let's take a look at number 2. So number 2 says find the inverse of this. So step 1, we're going to rewrite it with y. So we're going to go y equals x squared plus 3. Then it already tells me what our thing is, so we don't have to worry about that. So then we're just going to solve, right? We're going to switch x and y, and we're going to solve for our new y. So my y is going to change to x, my x is going to change to y, and then we're going to solve for my new y. So my first step to solve this is I'm going to minus 3 to both sides. So we'll have x minus
Zach
3
Castleberry,
equals.
please come to the main office. Zach Castleberry, please come to the main office.
equals y squared. So I'll have y squared equals x minus 3. So then, to get rid of that squared, we're going to square root this side and square root this side. Now listen, I don't actually have to work that out. That's just going to be what my answer is. Now since it is greater than, remember whenever we solve square equations, we can have plus or minus. So this one's going to be plus or minus square root of x plus 3. We're going to go plus because it is greater than or equal to. Since it's bigger than, it's just going to be a positive. Okay? So since it's bigger than, it's just going to be a positive. Then, that's my answer, but we're going to replace that y with f to the negative 1 of x equals, and here's what it equals, the square root of x minus 3. So there's our answer for number 2. Let's take a look at number 3. Number 3 says, find the inverses of f of x equals that. It already tells us that it's greater than, so we're just going to be worried about the plus. Okay, so it's just going to be greater than, so it's going to be plus. So then we're going to go f of x. We're going to replace that with a y. So we're going to go y equals 4 times x plus 3 squared. Second step, switch my x and y, right? These two are going to switch. So we're going to have x equals 4 times y plus 3 squared. And then we're just going to solve. So to start off solving, we need to divide by 4. So I'm going to divide by 4 here. We're going to have x over 4 equals y plus 3 squared. Now we're going to square root both sides. Okay, so we're going to square root this side, square root this side. So we're going to have, so we'll have it equal to the square root of x plus 4 equals y plus 3. And like I said, we're just using the positive part on our square root. Then just move this 3 over, minus 3 to both sides, and we're going to have y equals the square root of x over 4 minus 3. And then last step, just rewrite it. Take our y, we're going to rewrite it. This one is a f of x. So we're going to rewrite it as f to the negative 1 of x equals the square root of x over 4 minus 3. Just like that. Donezo, okay? We're just simplifying it. All right. Next one, number 4. Once again, replace that f of x with a y. And so we're going to have y equals 4 square roots of x plus 2 minus 8. Second step, switch my x and y. So it's going to be x equals 4 times the square root of y plus 2 minus 8. So we have a lot to do. We're going to need to add the 8, divide by the 4, square it, and minus 2. So we got a lot going on, okay? So we're going to start off, we're going to add the 8. We're going to have x plus 8 equals 4 square roots of y plus 2. Divide both sides by 4. So just leave it like that. But I'm going to write it just a slight bit different to make it easier. We're going to go 1/4 times x plus 8. Divided by 4, multiplied by 4, same thing. Equals the square root of y plus 2. Now I got to get rid of that squared, so I'm going to square both sides. All right, but we don't want to work it out or do anything weird like that. We're just going to leave it. We're going to have y plus 2 equals 1/4 x plus 8 squared. Then, last step, we're almost there, minus 1 to both sides. So we're going to get y equals 1/4 times x plus 8 squared minus 1. And then last but not least, we're going to rewrite that y with f to the negative 1 of x. So it's going to be f to the negative 1 of x equals 1/4 times x plus 8 squared. And we're going to say this is when x is greater than or equal to, negative 8. Because that's what we started with up here. Anyways, don't worry about that so much. The important part is this right here. Okay? Listen, this is a tough lesson. I know it's one of our last ones, but just try your best and we'll work it out together. All right, thanks, guys.